Hey, hello and welcome back. This is video number 12 of my Ultimate Ladybug course. I'm Philip, and in this video we will look into hourly charts. We look at hourly charts the whole time, but we haven't looked at the tool in greater detail. We prepared our weather data in the past, we looked at how we can analyze the data, and now it's about visualizing. If you haven't watched any of my videos before, please go into the show notes. I will post the link for the entire playlist and go back and rewatch. Also, I recommend subscribe and hit the bell button for any further updates. Now, let's jump right in. I hope you can remember what we did before. You can see already the hourly plot shown here several times. We plotted quite a lot of stuff already, but we never looked at the tool itself in greater detail. Very quickly, what you really need today is the weather data. Pretty much that's what we need, or a data set. Any data set will do. You don't need all these things in between. What we did here was we imported the weather data, we adjusted our weather data so it fits our site, and then we analyzed the data in certain ways. We covered the importing stuff, we covered the analyzed data stuff here, and now we are in visualizing. And today we will look at the hourly plot. We have loads of hourly plots here already, but we will discuss it a bit more in detail again. So I'll get this down, and then and then in next videos we probably, if we have time, we will look into the monthly chart, and then we have the PMV polygon and the psychometric chart. These are a bit different and they're more specific. We'll cover them in the next video. And then we getting very close to actually analyze geometry. This is the next step. And don't worry if we don't get everything at the first time, because we will revisit most of the things again when we are here. All right, hourly chart. Let's get a fresh one. So you can work with a normal weather data. Just get your data and place it in here. I have my adjusted weather data here, and I'll just throw this away. Just restart again. Also this one, I don't really need that now. So we have the data slot in here. This is the first tool. Again, as always, underscore means required data. Underscore at the beginning, at the end means it requires an input, but it has a default value. And underscore at the end means it's an optional input. Location is not really an hourly data set, but the dry pulp temperature is. And you can, of course, limit your data set if you want, but this normally goes for the whole year. It doesn't matter how long your data set or big how data set is. It needs to be a data set. So it means it cannot be just a simple list. So if you have a list of values, then you first need to construct a data object. It needs a header, a value, and interval. Well, we covered that before. Now base point, you need a base point. We just get a point object here, a point container, place this in here. By the way, you don't need this because it places the chart directly here. This is our chart. It's placed here. The default base point is 0, 0, 0, 0, but we can move it around with a point object. Opla, that was not what I want. Yeah, no, that's what I want. Yes. So I choose the point which I placed in Rhino. You can move this thing around if you want. And it will also, of course, move your chart. Then you have dimensions. You can change the dimensions of that chart with a slider, for example. Now I made it much smaller. 1 is the default, but not only for the x direction. I don't know why it's that like that. Let's see how that, I'm not sure why. It seems like it's 4. Default is 4. And interestingly, you have a set dimension. That's pretty interesting. That will scale your set direction elevation based on the input data. So just for better understanding, if I put in here 1, you can see that there was a bit of a change, and you can't see much here. If I put 20, you can see a bit more. You can see what's happening. Let's see. Let's go with a more extreme number. Okay. Then I can change this like this. So it gives me a bit of a better visual representation of the data. Not just the color, but a visual representation on how far values are away from each other. I'm gonna kill these points. They annoy me here in the background. Also this one. You have the option here to reverse your Y direction. With a Boolean toggle, you can place here false or true. So what happened here? So instead of the time in that case, instead of going from up to down, goes from down to up. Oh no, the other way around. It starts at in the morning and goes down to the afternoon. So that's like an additional option. This is already an optional input. We don't really need that, but we will go through it anyway because sometimes it's quite useful. So we then have the report. There's not anything in there because normally it just gives you a report if there's an error. We have a mesh output. So if I put here a mesh and I bake this, let's see if I can bake this here, layer 5, then it created me a mesh with the colors. So the colors are mapped onto the mesh, which is quite useful. And of course we can play with how this is visualized. For example, we could go here into the display mode and say mesh wires. We want to see the mesh wires. You can give a different color, different thickness if you want. You can also get the legend. You could say it's geometry. That works. So you could go here, bake everything again. Let's go back here, 5, layer 5. So now I don't have just the mesh here, but also the legend. So the legend now is also a mesh plus text. Borders, you can always look into here. These are all curves, so you could get the curves. Just go curves here. You can see how many are there if you add a panel. I will not bake it now because it's, yeah. Labels, again, it's the same. This is a list of text objects that labels the borders. Again, it could work with if you need that later for, I don't know, Illustrator or so. You could get this also with geometry. Bake, let's put it on 4. This is now these elements here. And then you have the title, similar, it's just a text. It's a text object. Probably works with text as well. So if I go here, no, it doesn't. Don't know why. Okay. Geometry does. Geometry is my friend here. We also have this output here, a visualization set. I just read you what's going on here. Visualization set. An object containing a visualization set arguments for drawing a detailed version of the hourly plot in the Rhino scene. This can be connected to the Ladybug preview visualization set command to display the version of the hourly plot in Rhino. So if I turn this off here, turn everything off, and I place this here, let's see what's happening. I never used that before, but it sounds like a cool tool. Okay, so it's everything again, just has a different line format. It looks a bit neater, and you can, interestingly, you can bake this to a file on your folder. That's also quite interesting. So you could now take this and Ladybug dump visualization set into a file. You can choose the file format, the name and the folder, and then you say dump with a Boolean toggle. And then I think you should also have a tool where you can get it back. Oh yeah, of course. You can also then, you can get it back with just this tool. So you could have this whole thing saved as a file, as if you're happy with your output, and then you just place here the name of your folder if you have dumped it in a file, and then you can open it from here and display it again here in Rhino. Let's see how let's try to bake this. Let's bake this. Let's choose layer 3. Okay, I'll close this here. Yeah, that looks quite neat. Of course, I have a bit too thick mesh wires here. I can turn this off and on. I can turn off and on the curves. But it basically helps you to plot everything. First of all, everything in one go, and it also cleans up a bit everything. It's quite nice. Okay, let's go back. I want to show you more. I want to copy this whole thing. Let's get rid of this. I copy here the point. We've done that so many times already. And we use this point here. Opala, no, that's not what I want. To have an alternative version. It's just a copy of what we're looking at already. And then now we can change the legend parameters. Legend parameters, you can further adjust how this thing looks like. What's in here? There's a lot of stuff going on again, but we can place this here. We have a minimum and maximum. We can specify the minimum and maximum of your output. So for example, if you don't want to have start with 7 and end with 27, you could, for example, go here and say 0. This is my minimum. And you could then say here 30 as my maximum. So now my minimum and maximum is set. And that's very helpful if you have a lot of different charts with the same data type, like temperature, and you want to compare, then this is very helpful because you can set this minimum and maximum, and then for each chart the minimum and maximum is the same. Otherwise, it will just gather the highest number and the lowest number, and that's going to be your minimum and maximum. Now, if you have several charts, that could be misleading because they look different. And you think they're very different, but then they have a different minimum and maximum, which completely messes up on how you look at them. So that is super useful in certain occasions. It's always, you need to be careful because you could also hide important information with this. For example, if your temperature is much higher than 50 degrees, then you will not see it. But yeah, to compare things, it's always good. And then you can always, of course, change. So in a way, you could set up one legend parameter for several different charts. You also have a segment count. The segment count is this one. It's like counting from how many steps are in between. In that case, you might want to have 30 segments. It gives you something like this. Or better, 29. Oh no, sorry, 31. Now it's because we start from 0 to 1. This is my 1, and then have from 1 to 30. Or, of course, any other segment count will work. Let's do 16, for example. Let's see how that works. 16. So that could be a way to deal with it. You can change this here if you want this to be a continuous legend, you can place this here like a Boolean value. Then you can see that the color is a gradient. It's not each segment has its own color. It's like one gradient. Then you can set the numbers of decimal points. So if you only want to have 1, then you can change that here. You need to provide a number. Now it changes it to 1 decimal, larger to smaller. This Boolean noting whether to include larger than and smaller than values after the upper and lower legend segment. Default is false. If we set this to true, let's see. So this will just add a smaller than and larger than indication as a text. There's nothing really to worry about. If you need that in your legend, then you can put this to true. You can change, that's also interesting. So you can change the orientation of your legend. Then your legend is on the top. Could be interesting. You could also add a point value where you want to put your legend. So if we, for example, go here and copy this, then we can add here a point. It's not exactly what I wanted. But you can always then, move it wherever you need it. I hope it's going to be on the other side. You can change the segment height, segment width, the text height, the font. I think it's very self-explanatory. There's nothing really I need to tell you more. However, there is one slot here which is called colors. That's an interesting one. So if we go back here to the extras, then we can place here the Ladybug color range. So we can put this here. Now there is nothing. This is set to a default value, but as you can see here, if you open this, if you hover over this, you can read that there are different, provide a number, and that gives you a different color scheme. So if I put here a panel again, and now I go back here, 30. Now I need to provide something. Okay, so this would be the index 1, original Ladybug. This is how the color scheme was before. Oh, sorry, this is the nuanced. Sorry. 0 is the original. That's what we have already. I go here a bit higher so we see it a bit better. Minimum and maximum. Multicolored Ladybug, eco tag, view study, shadow study, glare study, annual comfort, thermal comfort, peak load balance, heat sensation, cold sensation, and so on. So you can choose any of these, whatever works best. Let's try 20. Yeah, I prefer the original one. Actually, the nuanced is quite nice. There's also a black and white, I think. The annual comfort, let's see how that looks like. Ideally, the colors should, of course, give you some clue about the chart itself. I go back to nuanced. I think that's quite nice. What else? Statements. Okay, so we covered this pretty much. Again, you can change your fonts. You can really adjust pretty much everything. And now statements. Statements are interesting. Statements help you to filter. They work. And we have periods. I will not cover this because we already did that before. Or maybe let's go very quickly. You can apply an analysis period. So you can use this tool. So I covered this before. You just place here your data. You place the period. Oh, no, actually, yes, that's one way to do it. That's actually, I prefer this better because I can use one period. Can use the period here and then put the data in here. Then what it does, it's not processing all the data. It's pretty much the same really, but this for me is more straightforward. So then I have this certain data set. It goes out here and I can use that. I can also even process more than just one data within here. Or I put the period here. That's also possible. Statements. Okay, let's go back to statements. Panel. Now, there's an explanation how it works. So you could, for example, go here. A conditional statement as a string. So for example, A is larger than 25. Let's do that. Larger than 25. That's my statement. And A is the value. And now it only gives me all the times when the temperature is higher than 25, which is not a lot. And you could, of course, go lower here. Everything above 12, everything above 20, 21, everything below. I mean, you get the point, I think. And you can even create something like this. No, that didn't work. Sorry. Wrong thinking here. I could say, for example, whatever is within. So the value I'm looking for is within 18 degrees and 25. So it will only give me the times when the value is within here. This is because it's programmed in Python. You probably be able to use any Python statements, conditional statements, and just read this here. It's it will tell you everything. Yes. Okay. If you have more than one plot, that's actually we haven't really done that before. Okay. You can not just put one data plot in here. You can put more than one. It's quite interesting. Okay, let's try this. Dew point temperature. Let's put this in here. Now, what's nice is it already created. It created two charts. Now it created the first one and the second one. Now if we want this to be, and it's also shifted by the base point. This is really good. The only problem is that with the legend parameters, that doesn't work with the base plane, so we need to change that. So I would just, get rid of this. Now I have both legends here, so that wouldn't work. I will try something. I will try if I have a second point here, if that changes anything. Yes, it does. That also works, but we need to be careful. I mean, the chart's gonna be the same anyway, because we have our fixed values. Let's try to remove that. Yes, it actually works quite nicely. The only problem is that it's overlapping here, so we could also say, okay, let's not have it on the top, let's have it on the side. It's also good. Vertical or horizontal. Let's change this now, no? And if we remove this, it's gonna be here again. Probably makes more sense. I can also put the relative humidity here if you want. And now with the statements, we need to be careful because the statement is applied to all of them. I think that's it. Oh yeah, let's bake it. Bake. Now this is a problem. It's creating this new nice set. I will let's see. I will take out the statement for now, and let's see how that might work. Bake. Vertical line alignment center is not recognized. Something wrong with the legend parameters and this visualization set. It's something doesn't agree with, for whatever reason. I don't know. It might be the colors. It might be, maybe let's try to remove everything. That would be a shame. This is a bit annoying. It's not perfect, that's the thing. Maybe let's also remove the segment count. Let's see if I can at least change the colors. Bake. Okay. That works. Okay, that works. There's something wrong with one of these inputs, which it just doesn't work. Maybe it's a base plane, segment height. Not sure. Something to find out. Maybe it's this. Okay, number of decimals. Let's see. No, that's also fine. There is something didn't like it, but it's fine. You will find out when you find it out. Okay, I hope this was useful. I will see you in the next video. Ciao.